that aren't here. So what I understand, my interpretation of my vibration is what I carry in a the thoughts and beliefs that I carry in a consistent manner. So I could be pissed off one day on the freeway, but that's not necessarily my vibration. So what I carry kind of day to day as a consistent energy in myself is what I would say my vibration. And you might even relate it to the frequency of consciousness that most of the time that I'm in or that you're in. So if I put on a happy face and look like a nice guy and I'm at the life of the party, but inside I'm really depressed, then my vibration is not going to be of that nice guy that people see on the outside. And of course, the reason why I want to teach on something like this and talk about this is because I wasn't always in a higher vibration than, as I am now. And before, I was that guy where I was, the nice guy, and I put myself out there and I did for other people, and looked like I had a busy, active lifestyle and lots of activities. And when the party was on, I was the one making the jokes. But if you were to sit me down at that time, I wouldn't be able to look you in the eye. If you were to ask me, Daniel, are you happy? I couldn't imagine what I would actually say to you. Some bullshit answer, I'm sure. But on the outside, it looks like one thing, but on the inside, it's something else. So the vibration that I was carrying was a little wonky. So what I've what I tend to do also is apply what science and quantum physics and psychology says about something like this. And we speak about raising your vibration or your frequency or consciousness in different ways. But what I know about what quantum physics and science talks about is that when something is vibrating at a certain resonant frequency and something comes close to it, that thing that's coming close to it will start to resonate at that same frequency. And they've also shown where diseases like cancer, they've actually measured the frequency of a cancer cell. And it's a very low frequency. I think it's like 57 hertz or something. And then when you look at the wellness and health in the body where things are really running really well, the frequency is of a higher vibration. Then there's a science called cymatics, and cymatics shows what looks like a plate. Some people experiment this in different ways. They have a plate and they have sand or salt crystals on the plate. And then from the underside, they're vibrating that plate at a frequency. And what usually happens is that it goes into a chaotic state. And then as the sand gets in resonance with the plate, the sand changes into a geometric shape. So it's a sound wave in the shape of something. It's so amazing when you think about that. A wave, this resonant frequency, has a shape to it. So when you up the frequency to a higher resonating frequency, it goes back into a chaotic state for a little bit and then goes into an even more complex shape. So that again reaffirms this idea that higher frequency is better, that it's of a health and wellness, um, less disease and illness. When you raise the pH of the system, of the water in your body, then things are more less likely to attract cancers and develop cancers in the body. So it all kind of leads to higher vibration, higher frequency is better. Even there have been people that have measured through what's it called, muscle testing, how the consciousness of a person can be measured in relation to their emotions. So the emotion of sadness and depression and anger and rage are on a lower scale of frequency, and then joy and bliss and ecstasy are up of a higher scale. So it all kind of, how can I get there? How can I get to the high frequency? Because all those things that I want in my life are all related to feeling. So when I think about the things that I want in my life, whether it's a new car or motorcycle or a new place to live or a relationship, really what I'm looking for is the frequency. And it's probably a high frequency. It's probably a high vibration of happiness and joy and bliss, and maybe it's the frequency of how it makes my body feel when I'm driving a new car or riding a new motorcycle or something like that. It's really the feeling I'm looking for. So how do I support that? Well, I know that how I was trying to do it in the past, of trying to uh, push an agenda or a way of living that was out of alignment with my soul, doesn't really help. And doing doesn't help either. It's kind of like that commercial when we were kids, some of us, when there was like a margarine commercial, and then the woman would stomp her staff down and she would say, "You can't fool Mother Nature." Well, that's what it reminds me of, is that I could put on this face of this person, but unless it's inside of me, I'm not fooling anyone. And that's what I really want to cultivate, is that inner vibration, that consciousness. So I have 5 different ways that I help to keep myself in as high vibration as I can take. So, we all fluctuate. I dip down sometimes. I'll watch a movie that doesn't really do anything for me, like an exciting, adventurous Tom Cruise or Jason Bourne movie or something, and it's exciting. May even watch something that has some, like a documentary that talks about something that's, really not high vibration, but I'm interested. So I'll watch it, but I'll know this didn't really do anything for my consciousness, for my vibration. It may have done something for my knowledge of a particular subject, or maybe even gave me some wisdom about something, but didn't really help raise my vibration. So, number one thing is the food that I eat. And if I can eat as much non GMO, organic, not processed food as possible, I know that sometimes I slip in a bag of Famous Amos cookies or something. They'll slip in there. I don't know how, but they do. But then I need to kind of balance that out with, some juicing or some, pure water or something to kind of balance it out. So I'm not really, at least in this life, um, ready to live a monk's life. Maybe I already have, but this one I want to kind of play in it a little bit, and I kind of raise things up, and then it kind of drops down. It's just kind of the way that I'm choosing to live my life. But at the balance of it, or the average of the whole thing, I feel like it's at least a higher vibration than I once was living. Um, so number one is food. Number two is drink. So as little sugar in the form of alcohol sugar, or like Coca-Cola sugar, that kind of thing, as close as I can get to pure water, or a liquid that has nutrients and minerals and things in it, like juicing, like veggie juicing, that kind of thing. The next thing is the movies that I watch that I talked about. It may be very entertaining, but we've all watched those movies that have just completely opened up our hearts, that kind of cause us to just feel so differently about the world and about ourselves and about connection with people. And I remember I watched a movie called Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon, and it just completely broke me open. It was a movie about St. Francis. I got done with that movie and I just fell on my knees and just, crying for so many things. But at the end of it, it was a movie that completely, really changed my life. And then I watched another movie called As It Is in Heaven, and it did another thing where it helped me release the emotions that were stuck inside of me, that I had been, containing my emotions for decades. And this movie, for some reason, it hit a little button, and it caused me to completely, I remember that day I was in my place where I was living with my roommates, and they were in the room with me, and my egoic mind was telling me, be cool, don't be a freak, with your emotions. And I just couldn't take it anymore, and it just kind of it exploded, and they were right there with me, and they just kind of just let me just bawl my eyes out, and it was so liberating. And it's those kind of movies that we've seen before that have really touched us. If we could watch more of those, process them, and then watch some more of the movies, and then, wow, it just does such a great thing. The other movie that really affected me And I get kind of mixed responses from this, but the movie that really did it for me is Cloud Atlas. And there's been a lot of people that haven't really they haven't seen it, or they haven't seen it more than once. And I think the reason is because it's got this back and forth story thing going on, and they've got three different directors and six different stories, and it's a bit much for the analytical mind to grasp and to try to make sense of. But that's exactly the point. The point of the movie is to kind of pull you out of this analytical way of being and see how everything is connected, and see how when people die, their soul is reborn into another role, that we're playing roles of the victim and the villain and the perpetrator and the hero and the man and the woman. And it just, another one just kind of blew me wide open. So I've watched it about 35